Perma Kultcha is a system of design where we look at connecting different components together.
Perma Kultcha is the answer.
Because it's actually a whole range of stuff.
It's working with the environment, not against it.
The beauty of Perma Kultcha is that it recognizes the way that nature works.
Perma Kultcha is a sustainable way of food production.
Permanent agriculture, designing systems that will actually be sustainable, that can look after themselves.
This is our way, as the South Africans, to grow the veg.
It's a way of life.
This is an excellent solution.
It will change how people think about themselves, how they think about what's going on around them.
It's about time we became kings and queens out there.
Children of Africa, let's wake up and rise. It's time to pick up that shovel and spade and work the soil in the ground. Let's fight poverty and hunger. Let's be employed. Viva the spirit of permaculture. Viva. You don't know. So massive, let I and I break it down to you. Our country, South Africa, is facing many problems. Unemployment is increasing on a regular. HIV, AIDS, the food price is going up every day. The poor water supply. These problems affect mostly the rural and the peri-urban communities. Things need to change.
The reality of the 21st century is that we have a food crisis, an energy crisis, and a water crisis.
The United Nations have identified food security as the biggest crisis facing the African continent.
At this point, government has been extremely urban-centered and basically has sold the rural people down the river. There's been a general lack of funding for agricultural training, for rural infrastructure, and for agricultural development.
It is interesting to know that Africa produces 50% less food than it did as a continent in 1980.
What are other African countries doing about these problems, and what solutions are available out there?
Uganda has 35,000 certified organic farmers. Over the last 3 years, Uganda has seen the cost of their food come down 15%. In sharp contrast, South Africa has seen their food double, with only 200 certified organic farmers in the country.
There are 200,000 organic farmers in Uganda. There are another 200,000 farmers in Kenya, Rwanda, and Tanzania. And we've got a lot to learn from East Africa. So that huge number of farmers have got going over the last 5 years, really.
Kenya alone has created 2 million new jobs in organic farming over the last 5 years.
But they're also developing their local market in East Africa, and it's really exciting to see how East Africans are saying we'd rather have vegetables that are produced without chemicals.
The current world food price crisis.
Moses Muwanga from Uganda, a board member of the International Federation of the Organic Agriculture Movement, IFOAM, was in South Africa to speak at the Natural and Organic Fair.
Account for 80% of the food.
Organic agriculture is actually a faster growing industry in the world, and what we are seeing is the increased interest from the consumers all over the world. for organic products. This is driving more and more demand for organic products.
Permaculture and organic lifestyles are more than just growing food, as Alex Kruger explains.
One of the common misapprehensions amongst people is that permaculture is about gardening, or kind of organic gardening on a small scale. And it's quite a sorry thing that people think that, because it's actually a whole range of stuff. It touches from geography, design, nutrition, urban design, green technology, a whole host of stuff that's related to living.
Well, it looks like SA needs to catch up to the rest of Africa when it comes to organic agriculture. But there are those who have embraced permaculture and have been training people in the art of organics for over 20 years, like John Nzera.
This center, it's called the Urban Farming Project. We are setting a permaculture demonstration where we are saying at a small scale people can produce enough to feed their family and sustain whatever they need within the homesteads. Mainly this is a demonstration to train local people in nursery production or plant production, and also vegetable production, grey water system, the fish farming, the beekeeping farming, the livestock, and it's all integrated to make sure that people can make a living out of it. A small unit.
And John breaks it down for us. Now watch this.
For example, we consider runoff water from the road collecting into a swimming pool or into a pond where you can keep fish, and the water is then fertilized by fish, and then you use it for irrigating the seedlings or the vegetables. Here we harvest water from the road through the gate. It comes through here. We filter it through the reeds, jungus and papyrus, and then we also filter through the stones, and then it comes in here into the pond, and we keep fish in this pond. We have tilapias, the Mozambican tilapias, and they are breeding, they are multiplying so fast, and it's a source of protein, and also they provide manure for the water, and the water we use it for the garden. We feed them with earthworms, and the earthworms, they provide also good protein for the fish. Hence the fish, they can lay more eggs and multiply in this small pond. The future here is to make sure that we have more ponds to supplement the family and also as a source of income.
An important aspect of permaculture is the ability to generate income from work done around the homestead, like selling your garden vegetables and animal produce. Grey water that comes from baths, basins and washing machines can be utilized in permaculture. Water is such a valuable resource, it must be reused in the garden.
The water we use for bath, the water used for the body, it's directed into a system where we treat it. And this water is clean that we can use it for the garden, for the plants, and for other household uses.
In commercial agriculture, farmers are completely dependent on multinational companies for their seeds and fertilizers. But in permaculture and organic farming, seeds are harvested from the soil and thus making farming sustainable.
We keep seeds from all varieties of the crops that we are growing. Mainly we are growing OPV, which means open pollinated varieties of crops. This is indigenous maize, yellow maize. We have cowpeas, also it's indigenous. We also keep pigeon pea and chili, and then we have a self-sustainable system.
Animals are an important part of permaculture. They provide manure for compost, food such as eggs and milk, and can replace machinery.
We keep livestock like goats, mainly as a source of protein and also for connecting with the system. For example, here, instead of buying a lawnmower, we have multi-function animal that cuts all the grass and also leave manure in this area. Water is so scarce in South Africa, so we try by all means to conserve water. As you see around here, we have demonstrated a number of methods. For example, ground cover with the pumpkin and the cowpeas. And also we have this method of the pipe irrigation, where we bury this pipe right to the roots of this peach tree. So we put water here, and then the water goes direct to the bottom of the tree. And then that's the best method of conserving water. And there is zero evaporation of water from this unit.
Bees and insects are extremely valuable as they pollinate flowers and control pests.
Why we keep bees is for making sure that they utilize the flowers and they produce honey for us, and they also produce medicine for us. They integrate the whole system. A small hive like this one, it can produce something like 4,000 rands a year, which is a very good income for the family because there is no much management that you apply on the bees.
South Africa has a large variety of medicinal plants that are in demand by many cultures.
Medicinal plants are also another way of making money in a permaculture system, where you are growing medicinal plants, crush them into powder and sell them as a powder to traditional healers, or encourage traditional healers to come into the system and train them into understanding the propagation methods of indigenous species. The youth, they should know that in permaculture there is abundance and there is so much option that one can get into as long they understand the whole connectedness of these components in permaculture. Then they can be able to do something and change their lives.
Water management is vital to all agriculture. In South Africa, we haven't had a consistent supply, but not all is doom and gloom, as Kent, a permaculture designer from Karoo, explains.
If you are going to grow anything, your first step before planting is to actually plant water. So we plant water, and once we've planted water, then plant life becomes possible and we can plant plants.
Ken's farm in the arid region of the Karoo has always had a limited water supply.
When we bought this farm, we bought it without any water rights. It was quite a challenge for us because conventionally agriculture is practiced here by getting water off the mountain and that is sprayed onto fields through an irrigation system. So buying this farm without any access to water really brought this whole concept of water availability and whether or not we actually have a water shortage to head. From our experience here, what we have realized unequivocally is that there isn't actually a water crisis. What we have, though, is a crisis of water catchment and water availability.
Kent and his partners developed a plan to capture as much rainfall in the high areas and push it into the ground.
Mainstream water catchment plans generally revolve around catching water in rivers. Now, in permaculture, we move away from that because water in rivers is water that's already flowed too far over the landscape and it's on its way out of the environment, and water in rivers should stay in rivers because it needs to do work there for the ecosystem. So the idea in permaculture is to try and catch the water at the highest possible point in the landscape.
To slow the water down, they dug swales across the contours which hold the water and allow it to seep into the ground. Gravity pulls it down to the food gardens and orchards where the roots suck it up.
So it brings us to this concept of a sponge. And a sponge, it absorbs, it sucks. It's not about moving across a surface, it's about catching it instantly and putting it where we need to use it.
We have seen the importance of water management on large-scale farms. Now, let's head back to the city and see how it is dealt with on small plots. Let's check it out.
Siakana Bezeren Hout Park project is a food garden in the center of Jozi.
We make our plots in such a way we harvest water and we retain water. The mechanisms for retaining water are so important that we should use as little water as we can. Mulch is a ground cover. This mulch, the dry grass, we cover the soil so that it retains moisture. The grass itself prevents evaporation, which means you want water as often as you may be required to on a bare land which is not dressed. This is the dressing part, which helps preservation.
Manla believes that permaculture is not just about growing food to eat, but an economic solution that covers many levels.
If one is an entrepreneur, for one, it's a good place to be. Right now, there is a high need of produce that is needed in the world. Solar energy, architecture, there is a need for oils. Oils that are for perfumes, for household uses, detergents and so forth. And on the other hand, you can save lives. Africa is knocking on the doors of South Africa to say, hey, please do supply us with medicinal plants. And there's a shortage among the established shopping areas for continuous supply of the produce that we have, especially organic food. There's so much one can get from a food garden. There's so much. The economic value that can come out of the garden is a byproduct of the plants that we have. Spinach for one, cabbage, parsley, celery, they are made into salts. Now after harvesting it, they cut it, they clean it, they dry it, then after it is dry, they mix it with sea salt and we start packaging.
Youngsters from a local shelter are trained in the garden to learn how to empower themselves.
The good thing is, after 3 months or so, most of the kids who are coming from these shelters no longer come back. They have now gone back to school, they have been reunited with their parents.
Yes, I think it's a lucky thing to come here, to give us a chance like you see us. It's a lucky thing.
Another organization looking at encouraging kids to learn about permaculture is the Walter Sisulu Environmental Center in Mamelodi. Tina has been involved in the project for over 4 years.
Agriculture was seen in the past as punishment. Punishment was going to work in the garden. So there's definitely a shift and trying to encourage little ones to look at agriculture in a new light, to look at it as actually designing systems and sustainable systems.
The core principles of permaculture are put into practice all over the center to ensure that the children get to see the practical solution on water harvesting, intercropping, and the use of medicinal plants. The number of children passing through the center has increased steadily to about 9,000 pupils per year. At Rocklands Primary on the Cape Flats, a school-based project called SEED integrates education and permaculture. Project Director Lee Brown explains.
SEED is based at Rocklands Primary in Mitchell's Plain, and we believe in implementing permaculture systems at schools. The permaculture system provides a place to teach from and then also fills learners' stomachs. The aim of working at schools is to re-establish the link between the youth and their environments, so reconnecting people back to the land. By developing ecological intelligence in the leaders of the future, we are creating a sustainable future for humanity.
The Durban Botanical Gardens have also set up a window project to highlight the importance of permaculture education for the youth. Gabriel, the head facilitator, did his diploma in permaculture studies.
I think permaculture can do many things for people's lives, because we can make money, we can get a healthy food, we can save even a planet, we can find some medicinal plants around the garden you can use to cure some disease. I would say the healthy food is give you a healthy mind. So we need to eat organically. So we need to know where the food is coming from. So your food is coming from your garden. It's fresh, it's organic. People, they are dying because it's not that they are sick. It's because they don't get a healthy food. So if you can encourage people to eat healthy and just show them how it's easy to do permaculture and how it's easy to save money through the permaculture.
In KwaZulu-Natal, the Rainman Land Care Foundation has been training people on organic agriculture for over 10 years. Dr. Raymond Obach believes that permaculture and organic farming is the solution for South Africa.
The reason I make a point of being Dr. Raymond Obach is a lot of young black folk think that agriculture is a career that doesn't really have a lot of intellectual merit, and it is really important to know that you can get a doctorate in organic farming and rainwater harvesting. As you've seen, we have students here learning about organic agriculture, learning agribusiness, learning about certification, and learning the basics of marketing. The question of young people and agriculture is a difficult one for Africa and the world. Many young people the world over just want to get as far away from the rural areas as possible. But what we have found over the last 5 years is that more and more young people are coming who are passionate about agriculture, and in particular passionate about organic agriculture, showing that organic agriculture actually is a very viable development alternative, in particular in Africa, a route to food security and a route to sustainable production. And organics is very energy efficient, organics is very water efficient. Our Rainman rainwater harvesting system basically shows that we can use half the water for producing crops on our farm here. The mulches reduce evaporation by 40%. The swales, which increase infiltration, double the infiltration in the soil, and the organic matter from the compost means that there's a lot better water holding and nutrient holding possibilities for our systems, which enables people to use their indigenous traditional knowledge and to build on that indigenous traditional knowledge, where they can actually, first of all, achieve food security, secondly, develop small businesses which are energy efficient and sustainable, and thirdly, contribute to national food self-sufficiency. And if government follows the lead of the Food and Agricultural Organization, which has realized that these systems are sustainable, then we feel that there is a future for rural development in this country.
Just outside Pietermaritzburg, Richard Haig is farming with indigenous crops and animals to show that traditional knowledge can help farmers to be successful.
The reason why we have the indigenous animals is we like the statement, it's almost a political statement, of farming with our indigenous breeds. They have a lot to offer, they've co-evolved with the environment, they're well adapted to this sort of terrain, and of course it's a management tool. So by keeping your indigenous animals, they require far less sort of veterinary products. We have vast traditional knowledge in the province. Farming with traditional crops, with traditional livestock breeds, taps into that knowledge. We choose specifically not to grow genetically modified soybeans because that means that we can save our own seed every year, and there's an emerging market for non-GMO food types, and we've chosen that because with the diversity that we have, we are better able to cope with influences of climate change. With the cattle, the crops, the chickens and the sheep, we would minimize our risk to a large degree. If you look at ecological agriculture taps on traditional knowledge, but it also taps on science. So you get a synergy of the two, and I think if we look at the environment, the care of the environment, issues around global warming, waste, population, by farming ecologically, we manage to enhance all of those different components and increase our productivity and our viability, but most importantly our marketability. You talk to older people, what was your diet, what did your diet used to be like? And they all say that the type of foods that they ate then and what they eat now are different. And I think that we can learn quite a lot from traditional crops, traditional cooking systems, and in order to keep that knowledge alive, we should also be growing those traditional crops.
With permaculture gardens popping up all over the townships, a cooperative was established to market and to sell the product, and so creating an economic framework for the previously unemployable people, for the ghetto mass of them, saying.
Rob Small is the resource manager for Abalimi and believes that this model will work in all cities and towns around South Africa, bringing much needed hope and crucial job opportunities.
We work with survivalists to help people survive joblessness by growing food at home and in community gardens. People are farming organically by default. And if that is built up, that could be call it the security of the nation, the base upon which everything else can grow, as against the current industrial commercial model, which eliminates small farmers, eliminates organic practice, eliminates natural elements altogether and turns them into factories and puts them into the hands of the ownership of only a very few people. Whereas organic farming and the permaculture approach gives ownership of the land to the greatest number of people, and food security and income generation, and then job creation as well as a basis for all other industries.
Abalimi helps households by providing permaculture training and minimal assistance in the form of seeds, compost and equipment.
We work with over 3,000 farmers per annum. We spend 3 million rand per annum, which works out to be not more than 80 rand per farmer per month.
We used to mix a mealies, pumpkin, beans in a one field. That is a permaculture. But when you look, there are people got nothing. And to me, I start to see what, meaning the people when they saying they are poor and the poorest, is where I learn and I see in my eyes. I come back to Abalimi, I say, Balini, I see what we're doing, but I think we need to go out. We need to go street by street and introduce ourselves and helping those ones they could even not 10 cents to grow 1 bed of cabbage. We come from Transkei to look in the job in Cape Town. There's no job. What we can do, why these people they growing, what they getting from this growing. Those time was not a huge market outside. We was doing market in the local market in our community back to those ones they employ. They come there to buy spinach, they come there to buy onion, everything was still local. We start to spread. But we work here because we like what we're doing. Now, it's our life, we like it. I support my salary. I'm only one working at my house. I support my salary with this vegetable. I support the food in the table with this vegetable. Afternoon, when I leave here, the afternoon, go back to Kultcha, I go to pick up my spinach. I'm not buying spinach. I'm not buying green paper. One message I can say, the government, those dirty open space around our township, I'm not saying give. I say lend those land to the community to grow vegetable. Keep our township green if we can get allowed to get those land and develop our food. And we got our marketers. We support this vegetable back to the community, especially to those people they can't, vulnerable, they can't do anything. We support them because they're good nutrition, they're good health, especially to the HIV.
Food and Trees for Africa started a project just outside Soweto in 2005 to help poor communities to grow their own food and medicinal plants. Food and medicine obtained from these gardens are given to orphans and to help home-based caregivers to feed their patients.
We assisted the project to teach them how to do harvesting and utilize the product in terms of distribution through into the community for the preschool children, people affected and infected with HIV/AIDS in the community, and going further to an extent of teaching them how to process the herbs so that they have finer products like oils, ointments, and package them for sale in later stages.
An important part of the project is the ability to make medicinal products from herbs and plants that grow in the garden. These are either sold or given out to members of the community when they need help.
This is a living example of a vibrant project where the Home Based Care project is doing visits, and they're utilizing the products and the skills to improve the whole community in general.
There's a great need for young people to be farmers, to be producers of good things of the earth.
Permaculture, it helps people to acquire life skills.
Permaculture is a good thing. You can learn anything that you want to know about permaculture.
You know, I'm proud when I tell people I'm a gardener. I'm proud to have my hands in the ground.
The soil is the money. The land is the money.
We've seen the climate change, economic hardship, the increase on food prices. So the future for all South Africans needs to be sustainable, or we risk slipping into a spiral of poverty, hunger, and disease. The choice is yours to move towards a green and prosperous future through permaculture and organic farming. Viva the revolution, viva! Viva permaculture, viva!
Chemicals Panzi! Viva organic farming, viva! Viva!